The attacks and smears you're seeing about Ginny Thomas, and I'm not going to rebut them one by one. Trust me, she hasn't done anything unethical, anything wrong. They're just making it up. They're actually lying about what she did or what she didn't do. Is really not even about January 6th anymore, because obviously we now know any attacks on the Supreme Court by the left are about other things, namely abortion. First up, though, is the continued attack on the First Amendment and other fundamental civil liberties by the Pelosi Rump 1-6 operation. And by rump, I mean there are no Republicans appointed on that committee by the Republican minority. Now, there are Republicans nominally appointed there by Pelosi, but the minority party isn't represented. So this is a one-party operation straight out of totalitarian regimes we've seen in the past. And what they're doing is they're releasing partial information, withholding key information, hiding documents, all geared to try to jail and target their political opposition. And of course, President Trump, being the putative and likely challenger to Joe Biden, there's this desperate attempt to undermine him and, if necessary, put him in jail by getting their allies in the corrupt Justice Department to try to prosecute him. Now, what do they want to prosecute President Trump for? What do they want to prosecute other Americans for? Well, they want to turn disputes about elections and their results into thought crimes. That using the law available to us under the Constitution, namely the 12th Amendment and the Electoral Count Act and the kind of the inherent authorities of Congress to raise questions about an election outcome is something that you're not allowed to do, according to the left. Unless, of course, it's an election outcome they disagree with. So here you have a out-and-out assault on anyone who dares petition their government about this, or in the case of President Trump, wanted the laws against election fraud and tampering fully enforced. So that's the issue here. You have disagreements among politicians and lawyers about constitutional law, public policy, and politics, and those disagreements are being criminalized by the abusers on the Pelosi Rump Committee. Now, I tell you what, one thing that I think it would be good for conservatives to think about is if there's a change of power in Congress, what will the accountability be for these abuses of power? And in my view, the likely Speaker of the House, if Republicans take control of Congress, is McCarthy. And what should be asked of the minority leader currently is, will he promise to hold those abusing authority now to account? Now, congressmen like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congressman Gosar, they've been attacked by Pelosi by being knocked off of committees. They can't participate in the committee system in the House. Now, that might be a mixed blessing. I'm sure Marjorie Taylor Greene is probably even more effective as a result. But in the least, if I were McCarthy, or if I were running the House, I would ensure that those who abuse their authority now under the January 6th rump operation are not on committees for the next Congress. I mean, that's what should be done in the least. And the other threat that we're facing isn't just to the First Amendment, our right to petition the government, our right to speak about matters of public import. It's also about the separation of powers. And the separation of powers is the idea that our founders put into the Constitution a process and a structure of government that protects our freedom by dispersing powers among the various branches of government. So the legislature can't be the executive branch. The executive branch can't be the legislature. The judiciary can't be the legislative branch or the executive branch. They have to be the judicial branch and exercise purely judicial powers. Now, the dangers to our republic come from when presidents try to legislate. Remember a pen and a phone when the despot Obama used to say that, and Biden's doing that to a certain extent. Or when Congress thinks they're the executive branch and try to undermine the presidency with really abusive investigations trying to get at the heart of, for instance, executive branch communications in a way that's would make the president be unable to operate in any substantial sense, independent from Congress. And of course, you get abusers in the judicial branch, where you have judges acting as politicians and legislate from the bench, Roe versus Wade being the most direct example of that, and the most infamous example of that, at least in modern memory. Now, the other problem we have with separation of powers is sometimes the branches attack each other and undermine each other, as I was saying. So this Pelosi Rump Committee is attacking Congress. They're targeting fellow members of the House, trying to haul them in before their kangaroo court proceedings. They're attacking, obviously, the presidency by trying to get communications that are typically protected from scrutiny and trying to suggest the president has no right or power to be president if they don't agree with him politically. And then thirdly, they're attacking the Supreme Court. And they're doing this by attacking Ginny Thomas. Now, Ginny Thomas is a friend of mine, and I know her to be a patriot, an upstanding person, really a wonderful person, who cares deeply about this country. And she's made the mistake, and I say mistake in a sarcastic way, of, again, exercising her First Amendment rights to talk about issues of public import, namely the election disputes of 2020. Now, the left has decided that if you're the spouse of a Supreme Court justice they don't like, namely Clarence Thomas, you don't have First Amendment rights. And by the way, if that spouse says things or gets involved in topics the left doesn't like, they're going to use that as a vehicle to try to attack the justice, the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And in the case of harassing Ginny Thomas, they not only obviously make her life miserable, but her husband's life miserable. They also impact the court generally, because there's a signal to every judge or justice on the court that their families potentially are on the chopping block if the politics warrant it. So this is a fundamental assault on the Supreme Court. And let me tell you this, the attacks and smears you're seeing about Ginny Thomas, and I'm not going to rebut them one by one. Trust me, she hasn't done anything unethical, anything wrong. They're just making it up. They're actually lying about what she did or what she didn't do. Is really not even about January 6th anymore, because obviously we now know any attacks on the Supreme Court by the left are about other things, namely abortion, because the Supreme Court is about to likely pass down a decision that will throw Roe versus Wade into the dustbin of history, rightly so, and allow states to take steps to protect the right to life of unborn human beings in their jurisdiction. And the left hates that. So they're going to destroy anyone who supports that. And Justice Thomas obviously supports overturning Roe versus Wade. So the Supreme Court's under attack. Congress is under attack. The presidency is under attack. And of course, you're all under attack. Because the theory is that anyone who raises questions about election integrity needs to be suppressed. So these are dangerous times for our republic, as I've often observed. And of course, Judicial Watch has done more, and I will repeat because I think it bears repeating. Judicial Watch has done more independent, serious investigation of January 6th and its aftermath, which has been negative for the country because, as I said, the left has used it as a pretext to undermine all of our civil liberties, than any other entity here in town. We're in court suing for January 6th information. We've got January 6th information that would never have been released but for litigation. We've exposed, for instance, the cover-up and the special treatment for the shooter of Ashley Babbitt that no other police officer would be afforded. We've highlighted the lack of security despite the expected crowds at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. So all of those issues that Judicial Watch is confronting directly that this Rump Committee has zero interest in, because they, A, don't want to protect election integrity, they want to undermine election integrity, and because the Marxists are essentially running the House, they're also using it as a vehicle to undermine our republic generally. So that's where we stand on January 6th. Now, I've been monitoring the hearings. I haven't seen anything newsworthy in terms of government corruption other than the hearings themselves. So trust me, I'll let you know what goes on there, but I just want to give you, again, the background and the context, because you're not going to hear about it anywhere else. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.